When Electronic Arts announced Anthem right around E3 2017, there was a lot of excitement because the game looked interesting and a ton of fun. Certainly there were worries at the time, especially following Mass Effect Andromeda's failure, which led to BioWare Montreal pretty much being shut down, and the Mass Effect franchise now being put on hiatus. As time has gone by, things have gone from just a bit of skepticism to a lot of people flat out saying they will pass on this game. That is due to Electronic Arts' colossal screw-up that was Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Need for Speed Payback, as well as shutting down Visceral Games and canceling their linear Star Wars game because EA executives think people don't like those games anymore. Which, in reality, it's just because it's not as profitable as a games as service. EA simply crossed the line and finally showed their greedy little face to the world. As time has gone by, I should remind everyone, we still have no idea what will happen with Star Wars Battlefront 2's microtransactions. Anyway, yesterday, Kotaku's Jason Schreier published an article in which he anonymously discussed Anthem with about a dozen BioWare employees. Some of the highlights of what was said are the following. According to 3 sources, Anthem, which was announced at E3 2017, is now scheduled for release in early 2019. One source claims that the fall 2018 window mentioned during that E3 announcement was never realistic. An exact date is unknown, but it appears unlikely to the developers that EA will allow BioWare to delay the game any further than March 2019, when the company's 2019 fiscal year comes to an end. So from what I reported on about 2 months ago, this comes as no surprise. Development has not exactly gone all that great, and I really think BioWare and EA knows that this game is going to have to be a home run from a quality standpoint and a consumer standpoint. There is no chance that they take another risk like they did with Battlefront 2 and Need for Speed Payback, at least in the foreseeable future. Continuing on, one developer claims there's a belief that if Anthem does not live up to EA's expectations, BioWare will look very different in the future, especially after the disappointment of Mass Effect Andromeda led to EA absorbing BioWare Montreal into the studio EA Motive. Again, this is what I reported on pretty much about 2 months ago. From the people who I've talked to, there is a belief if Anthem fails, BioWare Edmonton may be the next to get the Visceral Games treatment. These employees are fearful for their jobs, and with a lot of them living in Edmonton, it's understandable, especially with what EA has done recently, and also their reputation of killing studios. Next, it seems that Anthem's development really started off rocky. The game began development in 2012 and was in pre-production for a very long time, some employees criticizing that and saying the game's development was floundering. The good news is that apparently over the last year, as Anthem's production ramped up and BioWare began putting more and more of its staff on the project, things appear to have improved. Jason mentions that he asked one source recently whether Anthem's struggles fell more into the category of this game is screwed or game development is really hard. The source said that over time it had veered from the former into the latter. It also appears that a lot of the complaints made involves the game's Frostbite engine, which has been a long-running issue. But now we actually get some more confirmation that microtransaction and loot box issues that have struck Battlefront 2 and Destiny 2 are having an effect. Jason says that the loot box controversy has led a number of big video game studios, including BioWare, to re-examine their plans for microtransactions in future games. This is something that I've mentioned a few times in the past, as I know for a fact that following the Battlefront 2 mess, Take-Two Interactive had a meeting regarding the pushback and were concerned over the negativity. We've also known for a while that EA was re-examining their future with microtransactions for all upcoming games. Most notably, it appears based on some recent leaks, the next Battlefield game will be avoiding loot boxes completely or going cosmetic. Up to this point with Anthem, we've known for a while that discussions are still ongoing, as creative director Brennan Holmes confirmed on Reddit a few months ago. He also recently commented on the EA patents that were discovered by YouTuber Young Yeah and had this to say, "I'm not sure where this is really coming from. We're not going to do any of that though." As I and many have said, nobody is really worried about the developers at BioWare. We're all really worried about EA's interference in what they could do. Either way, as Jason notes, it does seem that the current continuous screw-up that has been Destiny 2 is what Anthem's developers are watching right now. Interestingly enough, some of these developers fear that their game Anthem will face its own growing pains, and the very question is, will EA be patient with Anthem? Some games have struggled at launch and made it out on top later on, like most notably Ubisoft's Rainbow Six Siege. But moving on to my personal highlight of this article, in which two people who've worked on Anthem both expressed anxiety to Jason about the ways some big YouTubers have spread misinformation and inflammatory rhetoric about EA, saying that it has a demoralizing effect on those people on the ground level. To people who work for EA, the publisher isn't just a cold corporate master, it is a complicated machine that, yes, is concerned first and foremost with generating revenue for investors, but also supports thousands of people in many tangible and intangible ways. People close to BioWare, along with many developers Jason's talked to in recent months, they carry that commentary from some of YouTube's loudest voices, has eliminated nuance, and made companies like EA seem like Disney villains. Let's be honest here, EA is a villain and thousands and thousands and thousands of people believe that. Hell, over 170,000 people signed a petition asking Disney to take the Star Wars license from EA. There's just a pure hatred with this company and how they operate and view this gaming industry, a hatred that has grown since the early 2000s. But I understand who this was targeted at, and it's myself, Clean Prince Gaming, Young Yeah, Jim Sterling, Angry Joe, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, as I've stated multiple times, my personal issue, and hopefully many of yours, is with the corporate executives at EA. Some people clearly do not like what I have to say, but I speak for a lot of people that feel the same way. But let's be honest here, EA has taken advantage of YouTubers for years, using many of them as influencers or game changers, and as the game theorists stated right around E3 2017, they gave contracts out paying them off to play Battlefront 2 early, and probably received some free and bonus things for only positive coverage, which is why some of the most notable Star Wars YouTubers have been very quiet on EA. On the other hand, you also have a guy like Level Cap Gaming, who recently said, fed up with @Battlefront manipulating the media's voice by disinviting select YouTubers from early access DLC capture events, not liking the new era at EA controlled press. I guess 7 years of covering Battlefield games is not enough, I also need to be more favorable in my review. But another thing that's not mentioned in this article is the fact that even some former EA employees have called them out on their BS, such as a former BioWare developer who said EA and those big publishers in general only care about the highest return on investment. They don't actually care about what the players want, they care about what the players will pay for. And let's not forget the roasting that has been made by multiple companies and people. First, you have CD Projekt Red, who have clearly took a dig at EA when they said this about their upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077 and if it would feature microtransactions, saying, "Worry not, when thinking Cyberpunk 2077, think nothing less than The Witcher 3. Huge single-player, open-world, story-driven RPG, no hidden catch, you get what you pay for. No bullshit, just honest gaming like with Wild Hunt. We leave greed to others." Then you have an EA developer himself doing a crazy rant.
And this is my idea. It doesn't have anything with the EA shit going on, with the loot box and stuff.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Look. I'm going to say to you one thing. EA has been very good to me.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, they're getting, because it's nice to hate EA, blah, blah. I don't care about that shit. What I'm saying is this. All publishers fuck up sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is.
And then we have Sony even chiming in.
And I don't want to go to any of those teams and tell them, you know, I read in a magazine that there's something called games as a service. Make me one of those. I don't want to be that guy. So that's what we do.
I love single-player games. I mean, I think it's fair to say it's sort of, it seems like people still want them. What do you think?
I've answered that question right there.
There's just so many examples, but I get why some developers are nervous about what YouTubers like myself are saying, but a lot of the blame should solely be thrown on the executives who are a big reason why these controversies even begin. I don't think it's my fault or Young Yeah or Clean Prince Gaming's fault that EA decided to be greedy. Of course, the fallout is now a lot of people being critical of every single move going forward, which is why Anthem, the next big game after Battlefront 2 coming from EA, has me and many worried. So again, I understand why some BioWare developers do not like what's being said about EA, but the corporate heads are a big reason why many of us are not happy. And what they tried pulling with Battlefront 2 was a complete screw up and is the reason why government officials are investigating and looking to ban loot boxes. I'll add, if YouTubers and the community in general stops calling out EA and other publishers for their cash grab anti-consumer decisions, you have to expect the predatory practices that almost happened will come back again, maybe in a different form. I hope the best for Anthem, Anthem, because it seems that EA may have learned that the community can and will come together when they try to implement predatory cash grab loot boxes. But the big thing to note is maybe Anthem or the next 10 EA games don't have predatory loot crates, but I just have a strange feeling that we may deal with a similar situation 5 years from now. EA overstepped with Battlefront 2, and the safe zone for them is cosmetic items, but who's to say that one day they may not try to pull this same shenanigans again? That's why it's important to support Hawaii politician Chris Lee and the other states fighting to put an end to microtransactions. Again, I still hope the best for Anthem, but from everything said, I still worry that this game will be a disappointment. And at the end of the day, it just feels like the BioWare I grew up loving is gone because of Electronic Arts. Anyway guys, what do you make of these comments coming from BioWare? Let me know in the comment section below, but as usual, thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.